Sorry, didn't see you guys there. Today we're going to be talking about the wonderful world of slime. Now that I've cleaned up a little bit, let's talk about slime basics. So slime, just like cornstarch, like I mentioned in my cornstarch video, is a non-Newtonian fluid. That means like it's just kind of oozing down, kind of liquidy, right? But when I squish it or play with it, it becomes a lot more solid. It's changing its viscosity or how thick or how much it flows in response to external stress. So just left alone, it can kind of ooze. This will ooze on my desk, but as soon as I hit it, toss it, or do anything like that, it becomes solid again. So it's another non-Newtonian fluid. Slime is also a polymer, just like cornstarch was a polymer, but instead of being made up of repeating units of glucose molecules like our cornstarch was, slime is made up of repeating units of the glue molecules and borate molecules. But that's enough science chit-chat for now. Let's get to actually making the slime. To actually make our slime, we're gonna need a couple of things. So first, we're gonna need our nice handy Elmer school glue. I have a big giant jug of this to make a lot of slime, but you can also buy the tinier containers. We have borax, which can usually be found in the laundry aisle because it is used for like laundry or other household cleaning purposes. And I have a couple of mixing containers, a couple of spoons, a half a cup measuring cup, my teaspoon, and this bowl already has a cup of warm water in it. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing we're gonna need is our glue. So we talked about how slime is a polymer, but the glue that goes into slime is also another polymer. I know, we've got polymers into polymers. Again, science just loves polymers. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour in a half a cup of glue into this bowl and then add a half a cup of warm water to it. So this glue is a polymer, and it is called PVA glue, or which could stand for like polyvinyl acetate, polyvinyl alcohol, and those two things are the types of monomers that make up this polymer. And you'll notice that glue is thick, it's very viscous, but it is also fairly runny or liquidy, and it can pour into my measuring cup. The reason for this is because all of those little polymer molecules, the polyvinyl acetate, the polyvinyl alcohol, are all very flexible. They're all sliding across each other and making a very liquidy substance. So because they're all sliding across each other, making a liquidy substance, we're able to pour it out of the container. Now keep that in mind because its flexibility will be important for what causes the consistency of glue in a couple seconds here. So I'm going to go ahead and stir together that glue and water to make watery glue. I don't know about you, but when I was a little kid, I was like obsessed with making watered down glue and like painting it onto things to glue things together. That was probably during like my time I was really obsessed with like making paper mache things. I don't know, it just really entertained me to be able to paint glue on things. All right, so we have a very nice, even more liquidy, watered down glue mixture. I'm gonna set that aside. I still have half a cup of water in here, and to that I'm going to dissolve a teaspoon of borax. So borax, like I mentioned, is a household cleaner, and it is made out of sodium borate crystals. So sodium borate is a crystal or a compound that is made out of sodium, which can be found on the periodic table, and then something called borate, which is made up of boron and oxygen, also two elements you could find on the periodic table. And when I dissolve it into the water, so it's kind of making a cloudy, liquidy solution, when I dissolve it into the water, the sodium part and the borate part, which are connected together, when they get dissolved in water, they separate. So now within this water, I no longer have sodium borate floating in the water. I have a bunch of sodium ions, or a charged atom, and I have a bunch of borate ions, again, a charged atom. The borate ions will have a negative charge to them, floating around in the water. So they're just, it's like, think of this as a giant hot tub. All the sodiums are floating on one side, or floating in the hot tub. All the borates are floating in the hot tub as well. I don't know why I have a third bowl. I really only needed two. So now, when I pour in some of my mixture of the borate combined with, or borax combined with the water, into my glue and start to stir it, I have a long, slimy, no longer liquidy glue happening in my bowl. So I'm gonna keep stirring this up, and if it's still very liquidy or if there's any liquid left over, I'll continue adding my borate solution. And the reason that we now have slime, and ooh, I'm gonna get smart this time and take off my rings before I reach in there with my hands, which is something I never managed to do. We now have liquidy, gooey slime that is still kind of soft, and as I continue to knead it and get that borate solution mixing in with my glue more and more, I get a different consistency that is not like my borate and is not like my glue. And this is because in my borate solution, I've got all of those little borate ions just floating around, they're just chilling. And in my glue solution, I have all of these long chains of polyvinyl alcohol or polyvinyl acetate, just being flexy, just chilling, being liquidy. And the borate actually takes, like, for example, if you have 2 PVA molecules, it takes those 2 PVA molecules and builds a bridge between them. So it's like, let's pretend this glue bottle is a representative of PVA, this borax is a representative of another thing of PVA, and the borate ion is acting as a bridge between the two and connecting them. So since the polyvinyl alcohol or polyvinyl acetate molecules can no longer slide against each other and be liquidy, they're now stuck closer together, it creates slime. It creates a more solid substance, which is so much fun to play with. You can also add food coloring to this. I just don't have any food coloring in my house at all. I hope you all enjoyed learning about slime today and what makes it so slimy, and that is the reaction between the glue and the borax putting together a bunch of little links between the glue molecules that hold it together in a solid yet liquidy state. Another non-Newtonian fluid to add to our collection of non-Newtonian fluids we've talked about on this channel. This is so much fun to play with. One of my favorite things to do as a kid, and still my favorite thing to do, is to get actually like a straw and stick it in the slime and blow bubbles in it. I used to do that as a kid until I felt like I was gonna pass out. If you're also looking for more ways to explore your slime, you can add in a bunch of different things to it to see how it changes the texture. You can try adding in more of our borax solution. You could try adding in less of the borax solution and just seeing how that all changes what type of slime is created. A couple of things to keep in mind while playing with slime is that borax is a household chemical agent. It is an irritant to your skin. The safest form of borax is in this very diluted form, so after you're done playing with slime, just make sure that you don't eat the slime, you don't eat the borax, and you wash your hands really good just to get any extra diluted borax off of them. But other than that, if you just wash your hands and don't eat it, you'll be pretty safe. And if you happen to get slime into your clothes, hair, carpet, wall, anything that slime could end up in, because I get slime and stuff, so I'm sure everybody else does too. Vinegar is something that will take it out, because vinegar is able to break down that bond between the PVA and the borate and kind of reduce the slime back to its liquidy components again. So vinegar is the key if you get stuck in anything. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Today's fun fact that we're going to rate is that some animals, like the hagfish, actually produce slime as a defensive mechanism. So be sure to drop that rating for the fun fact in the comments below. Like this video, make your own slime, have a lot of fun. Subscribe to my channel. I post on every Tuesdays and Fridays, and keep it sciencey. Slime is also a polymer, just like cornstarch was a polymer made up of chains and chains or repeating units of glucose molecules, but instead slime is a polymer made up of glue molecules and borate molecules. Questi sono tutti insieme, veramente.